What you see before you has been about 15 years in the making, and I'm new to the channel and to the company, but Todd is not. He's been here since the beginning, and he and the team have put a ton of work in to get to this point. This is our own custom formulated lineup that you guys have tailored exactly to how you want. How'd we get here?
Well, actually, it's a little bit more than 15 years because, you know, in the early days when I was doing this part-time out of the garage of my house, you know, in the motorcycle business, I was in product distribution. I did that for years and years. And right out of the gate, I knew that I wanted to get into doing a product. So even when I was part-time at the house, I was already thinking through this process. I was ordering up sample bottles, looking for suppliers. And then the reality of, you know, one person trying to do a company that you're doing every single job, that kind of got put on the back burner, and I started doing distribution of other products around the world, going around and finding all the best of the best. But that added to the development of this too. So we had reference points of what we wanted. And we kind of continually thought through that whole process, working with manufacturers, product development. And the other thing is, this comes from washing thousands of cars per year.
Yes.
This isn't a YouTube channel that we work on one car every now and then and we draw our conclusions from that. We literally wash thousands of cars per year, and that gives us the base, you know, the best R&D basis to work off of in the development process of this.
So what we're gonna do in this video is have a full instructional guide on how to use every one of these products and get you set up to be detailing and washing your own car.
Yeah, and it's good. We've got a good car to work on. You know, white kind of shows a little bit of everything. This Type R gets driven all year long. Just came out of the winter. Is stored outside. So this is something that, you know, your average consumer can relate to because that's what they're dealing with most of the time. So we've got products to use on all aspects of this one.
And speaking of relating to the consumer, we're not in the studio.
Nope.
We're out in the open. It's probably gonna get sunny, and we're gonna wash how the majority of people are gonna wash at home.
Yeah, exactly. Even with the sound of the lawn mowing going
Fresh
on over
cut
here.
grass in the air.
Yeah, everything. It's all good.
Awesome, well, let's get set up and wash this car.
Perfect.
First step, we get comments on this all the time. Do we pre-rinse or do we start with foam? Because if you use a pressure washer and just blow this right now, you're gonna scratch the paint all up, right?
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. Yeah, once again, some of these things come from, well, I saw it on this YouTube channel, this guy who has a lot of views. Well, it doesn't mean that they work on thousands of cars a year to really understand this. Now, it is a good point, you know, for us, if a car is exceptionally dirty, perhaps mine over there, going through mud. If it's exceptionally dirty, it's a black car or whatever, yeah, I'll go in, foam it first, let it dwell, rinse it off, foam it again, and go into my wash. If it's not that dirty, it's not that big of a deal. You have 100 times better chance of scratching the car with your wash media going across it than having water going across it from a rinsing. So yes, you can foam it first, rinse, then foam again. It's not needed. We gladly sell you a lot more shampoo to do that. But if it's not really dirty, not really a need to do that. This, you know, it looks pretty dirty, but this isn't stuff that's just lightly sitting on the surface. You know, this car's been driven all winter long and maybe washed once.
Yeah.
So that's going to require the wash media to remove it off of it.
All right, so then first step is we're gonna rinse.
Well, no, first step, we're gonna do the wheels.
My
right?
bad. Yes.
And well, that's another one. Our last videos, a guy was he was for sure that we should do the wheels last. And he even made a comment of a guy my age should know better than to do it the opposite way, and started some questioning and find out he was using the same bucket from washing to do the wheels and the same media, which you never, ever do. Always keep all that stuff completely separate. Now, question, why do we do the wheels first? Do you remember this in the lesson?
Because we don't want to get stuff from the wheels onto the paint?
Yeah, exactly. The wheels have your most abrasive, nasty stuff on it, and we're using the harshest chemicals on it. So we don't want to have a super clean car and then wash the wheels and then everything from that get all over the car. We want to wash these first, get everything off of it, and then go in and wash the car.
Cool.
And these are very dirty wheels.
Yes.
Once again, the calipers, they've gone all winter long. I don't think they've been cleaned. He just switched over to his summers, but as you know, we've had like rain 40 days and 40 nights here in Columbus in April and May. So these are plenty dirty. We'll come over to this one over here. That's pretty nasty. You know, we get those kind of comments too. It's like, well, you're not using it on a dirty enough vehicle. I can't tell. You have to prove to me that this is capable of cleaning up a dirty surface, and that's exactly what we've got here. So first thing we're going to do is take our wheel cleaner.
Yep.
And with it, you know, we've got, once again, thousands of cars a year. We've got experience with cleaning wheels. So we went into the development of our wheel cleaner. We knew we wanted something that was really effective. We knew we wanted something that's really safe, and something you can't get away from the smell of the active ingredient in these wheel cleaners, but you can tone it down a little bit. This one still has a bit of that smell, but not one where you feel that you have to have the Breaking Bad full hazmat suit on when you're doing it. So this stuff here, spray it on. I like to spray it on all four wheels. Let it dwell. You know, once it starts activating with everything in there, it'll turn that dark blood red. And at that point, you got a couple of choices. You know, we're talking about the rinse and foam and all that. You know, you can either go straight into cleaning it at that time, or what I like to do is I'll spray everything, let it dwell, hit it with high pressure rinse to try to get as much of that stuff off as possible. Then go into cleaning it. I can either hit it with some more or I can hit it with foam, because if you have all that stuff on the wheel and all that nastiness and you're getting in there with a brush, stuff is just going to spray all over you. Another one of those things that you learn after thousands of cars
wear your dark shoes
being washed. Yeah, wear your
I guess I'm doing wheels today.
I've got my old shoes out. Well, you're the newest guy to the company.
And your top surface is Todd.
Yeah, I'm top surface is Todd, so you obviously get the wheels on it.
It's a privilege.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll let you have the privilege going in.
I'll get these all wet.
We want to get the faces. We want to get everything inside the barrels. We want to get the brake calipers really well, because there's a lot built up in there. You know, you're going to use a lot of wheel cleaner. That's, you know, it's just one of the realities of it. You're probably going to go through more wheel cleaner than any other kind of chemical that you have in your detailing arsenal.
And then it's nice that we have 16, 32 ounce and gallons for refills. But the 32 ounce is nice because now we can do multiple cars, really buzz through a lot of product.
Yep. Well, you know, another question we get, is it safe for use on carbon ceramic brakes? Yes, it is. The thing is, with carbon ceramics, they don't really produce a lot of dust. So it doesn't require a whole lot of heavy cleaning. Most of the time with carbon ceramics, all you need is just using like our pH neutral shampoo. You foam it, go in there and wash it. You don't need a whole lot more. You know, and the other thing with these wheels is you want to make sure, like up in here, you see that we didn't get complete coverage. And the other thing you have a tendency to miss is the stuff up underneath.
Okay.
So when, you know, spraying it, make sure you get in all of those areas and full coverage inside the lugs, so that it just makes the rest of the cleanup process a little bit easier.
And if I'm not careful, my probation period might be extended even further. I'm still on probation from being a new guy, but also from going to Moo for so long. But if I'm missing spots, we're going to get some extensions. No one likes being on probation.
Yep. Yeah, you can just see how much is built up on that rear caliper there. There's a lot of brake dust. I mean, that's just all winter of driving. You know, this is going to be a little bit more on this detail than we do, you know, somebody's going to do on a regular weekend. You know, this is a spring cleanup that this car needs. It's going to be dirtier. Stuff has sat a little bit longer on it. The coating that's on the surface is going to need a little bit more care. So we'll do a few more steps in here than you'll normally have to do on a regular maintenance wash. You get an arm pump yet?
Oh yeah. Get some Popeye going on. Need a can of spinach.
Well, a young guy like yourself, you know, that shouldn't be a big deal. You know, the other thing that you've got here, you know, you got some nice gloves.
Yep.
And we've been using these and selling these since I think early pandemic, Zach. 18, 19? Yeah. Really durable. They've got this texture on them so that you get a good grip on everything.
Oh yeah.
You know, for wheel cleaning, when you're dealing with nastier stuff, it's good to be able to use gloves because you're just gonna have everything all over.
I'm an anti-glove guy in most scenarios as well, but you guys also have quite a few different sizes, which are nice because then you don't have a sloppy glove or something that's way too tight and constrictive.
Absolutely.
Good deal.
Okay, so we'll let this set for a minute and take a look. Let's go back around here to this side. With black wheels, it's a little bit more difficult to see, but you can really see it on this side. It's been here for a while. You know, you can see how everything has turned a deep blood red. You know, that just shows that it's activating with the iron deposits, and see what it's done to the rotor here. You got iron rotors on there. You're going to have stuff that that activates on that as well. That's perfectly fine. You're not hurting anything. But you know, I like to give this a couple of minutes. I don't want it to dry on the surface. You know, you can do it out here in the sun. You know, if it's 90-degree day and the sun is baking, you know, rinse it off a little bit sooner. You don't want it to dry. And also the other thing that you want to do with wheel cleaning is you don't want to go out and hammer on your car and then come back with smoking hot brakes and stuff and then immediately start spraying chemicals on it. You got to use a little bit of common sense on there. You know, if things are hot, just pre-rinse the stuff, let it cool down a little bit before you start spraying chemicals all over it. See, I mean, you can tell it's got the smell, but it's not horrible. I mean, the early days when we first got this active ingredient that comes in here, I mean, this stuff was just so bad. And if you did it inside or whatever, the whole place is going to smell like rotten eggs for forever. Yeah, interesting fact for you. The active ingredient, you know how scents can take you back, you know, memories and stuff, you know, childhood or whatever. When I first started using this, something reminded me of my childhood. And it took me a while to figure it out. Well, when I was little, you know, moms always went to the hair salon to get perms. And that's what it brought me back to, the smell of a hair salon of women getting perms. Well, I found out that it's actually the same active ingredient.
I know exactly what you're talking about. My mom was a hairdresser as well. So.
Yeah, in perms as cleaning wheels. So you got to wonder, like, why in the world were you putting that stuff in your hair if we're using it now to clean wheels and stuff? But just an interesting fact.
Absolutely.
At this point, I think they've sat long enough. For me, with as nasty as these are, I would prefer going in and hitting it with a strong rinse.
Okay.
And then we'll grab our foam cannon. We'll foam the wheels and then go into washing them from there. If they weren't as nasty, you know, we can go right in and start cleaning them right away. But I'm looking out for your best interest since you're going to be one down there cleaning the wheels, so you don't get all that nastiness sprayed all over you.
Okay.
And that was a good safety tip that you just did there. You know, when you're taking things on and off of your lance, spray it off to the side first to make sure that you've got a solid connection on that. Because if you don't, and you shoot it directly at the car, you end up with a broken windshield, a dent in the side, a scrape on the wheels. So just kind of spray it off to the side. Make sure everything is secure before you get into rinsing them. Yeah, I can already tell on there the calipers themselves look so much cleaner than what they did before. And we haven't even touched it with anything yet. Here, I'll be your assistant.
Thank you.
I'll move this around.
And if am I correct in saying this is a non-acidic formula?
Correct.
And it has elements of our iron remover in it as well?
Absolutely. Same base active ingredient.
So you don't have to stack them. We've seen people want to stack two cleaners. It's everything you need all in one.
Yep, no need. I mean, if you look at that, that looks like a clean wheel and calipers and everything. Now, all the heavy stuff is off of there. The nasty stuff is off of there. Calipers look a lot better. Now we'll go in just with soap, and our brushes go in, agitate it for a final cleaning, and it's going to look fantastic. Now, you saw all the nastiness that was coming off of there. You know, it was spraying all over the car too. But if you were in there with your brush immediately, I mean, that's just going to cover everywhere. You're going to have it all over your face and all over everything else. So, you know, this is a nice step or a way to just reduce the amount of stuff that you're getting all over yourself.
Yep.
So now we'll just take our foam cannon that we have our ESOTERIC pH neutral shampoo in there. Same thing that we're using for the wash process. We're going to use it for the wheels. It's going to be safe for any surfaces that you put it on. It's just going to add a little bit of lubrication in there so that when we're going in and agitating with brushes, we're not scratching up any surfaces. You can do one of two ways in here. If it's you know, really dirty, you can foam all four wheels. If it's a bright sunny day, it's hot, I'd probably just do two at a time, work on that side, go to the other side, foam them, and then do the wash.
So we're pretty overcast, nice and cool today. We're good to just hit them all.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go.
A lot of adjustment on this active foam cannon.
That one's a lot better.
There we go.
Thick, sudsy foam.
One of the most satisfying parts of washing a car. Right.
Now, I know the next question that comes along with this is, well, once you have this, how are you going to incorporate your tire cleaning process into it? Well, you can do it a couple of different ways. I'd probably go in, as I'm cleaning everything, use my tire brush that I have my foam on there, rinse it off, take a look at it, see how the tires look. If I need to go into some deeper tire cleaning, at that time, I can quickly do it. That also makes sure that we don't have the tire cleaner sitting on those wheels for too long a time.
Okay. So at this point, we just want to brush these up?
Yep.
Okay.
So as always, we have our 3-bucket system. We've got one bucket that's dedicated just to wheels. We never, ever, ever mix our wheel media, water, anything with what we're doing on the body. And, you know, with the brush there, really simple. We're getting all the way into the barrels. We're getting behind the spokes, like right in through there. We can get the tops of the calipers that are kind of difficult to get to. And usually it doesn't require a tremendous amount of effort. You know, if you've got an older BMW or something that's been 2 years since it's been washed, yeah, you're going to have some time on the wheels because that stuff starts baking into the surface. But these shouldn't be too bad.
Jump over.
Doing a fine job so far.
All right. Got a lug brush.
Yeah, and then for the lug brush, you know, I'll get in there, get the lug nuts. I'll get the air valve, and I'll also use that to get in any area of the brake calipers that I can too. Man, the whole, you know, outdoor washing thing, we were talking about it earlier. We got the smells and sounds. Somewhere off in the distance, somebody's blaring some like early 60s beach music that I don't think the microphones are probably going to pick up. It just adds to the ambiance.
Yes, you're on the beach somewhere, aren't you?
Yeah. Ohio, it's just like being on the beach in early May.
Okay, so we just want to jump through and do all 4 wheels, or do we want to do our tires at the same time, or?
However you want to do it. You know, the other thing I would do at this point, I would take the sponge. You know, what we've done here, and we talked about in our other video, we take our regular wash sponge, and like after these start getting a little bit wore out, we'll cut them in half and we turn them into our wheel sponges. That way we know they're something completely
different. This never
different.
touches paint.
We never touches paint. And
Only
these,
for
a
wheels.
full one, is never going to touch wheels. And we'll use that just to get all the faces of everything. You know, depending on the brake caliper, we can get a little bit more in there. We can get, you know, the back part of the wheel right where it connects to the hub. That's just to make sure everything is clean on it.
Yeah, this is really squishy and it expands a lot too. So once you get it back in somewhere, you can really curl it around corners and get things you can't see.
You know, if you wanted to, you know, depending on how OCD you are, you can use a 2-bucket method specifically for your wheels. So that way, you know, when you go in and you clean the barrel, you've got a separate bucket with water and a grit guard down at the bottom. You know, or if you had your hose or your pressure washer by, you can rinse everything out before putting it in here and applying it to the next wheel. For me, it's not that big of a deal. For some people, you know, they want to make sure that they're doing everything, you know, by the book. But once again, thousands of cars later, I haven't really found that to be a
and still issue. Doing thousands of cars. This isn't something that stopped.
After seeing the job you're doing here on this, you know, Saturday we've got cars and coffee at the shop. My car's been probably 3 weeks since it's been cleaned, since the last event that we had. So I may need some help.
All right.
Cleaning up, particularly on those lower areas and in the wheels in particular. I can get the hood.
All right.
I get the
milestone.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I'll take what I can get.
I think, you know, Zach's been here for 10 years. It's probably 2 months before I had to let him touch my car.
I'm in that same ballpark. So, all right. I'm at the 2-month mark. I'll do whatever I can do to get out of probation. There's my lug brush.
Then there's the infamous double secret probation. It's actually from the old movie Animal House. A little bit before your time.
Just a little bit.
What would Jake's fraternity name be?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man. We're gonna have to,
maybe they should say in the comments.
Yeah, we're going to think about
What's Jake's? It's not Flounder, but what could it be?
Flounder. Yeah, and that's good. Like with that caliper there, it's a different type of caliper. The front one's nice and big block and finished. You know, that one has got a lot of crevices and stuff. You know, using your brushes to get in there and get all that cleaned up. Just keep it looking nice. Doing a fine job there, Jake.
Thank you. Thank you. Trying, you know. Each wash gets a little better. I am a hands-on learner as well, so this is great for me to be under the gun, getting my hands on the car, washing it. It's a little different than just being told.
While you're washing that side, I'm going to go ahead and do a rinse on this side. Once again, it's not going to hurt if it sits a little while in the conditions we're in right now, but if it were a hotter day, sun blazing, I'd want to get that stuff rinsed off. So And since you were fiddling around with the lance over there, I did do my safety inspection on it, make sure that you got it connected.
That's good.
Right. All you got to do is one time you do that safety pull of the trigger and something goes flying off. Do that one time, say, okay, that's why I do this.
Goodness.
That could have went flying into the car. Yeah, these FL5 Hondas, they produce a lot of nasty brake dust.
Such a great car.
Yeah, they're fantastic cars. I've gotten to drive this one a couple of times and it makes me want to have something with a third pedal again. And just so everybody knows, this car belongs to one of our detailers here at the shop. And, you know, the first reaction might be, well, how in the world do you have a car that's so dirty? Well, mine is the same. After, you know, you're cleaning up cars every day, all week long, the last thing you want to do is get up on a Saturday morning and clean another car.
The carpenter's house is always built last.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you got a detailer whose car looks too good, and you know they don't have much business.
Yep. Or they go through Moo maybe, and they're about to be on probation.
You and that Moo car wash.
Yeah. I didn't know any better. Then I became, you know, aware of the situation through maybe 50 reminders from the guys over here. And then you guys recruited me, and then I was disbanded from the Moo. I still have the little sticker on my windshield, and we're going to do a ceremonial removal when we tint my windshield.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, every time, you know, we get a car in to do paint correction or something that's got the sticker on it from, you know, automatic car wash, we always know that we're going to have a lot of work to do in paint correction. And then, you know, you have to politely talk to the customer and say, that sticker is the reason why we had to do the expensive paint correction on the car. Because people just don't realize. All right, quick rinse on those. Okay. Perfect. Now on these, the tires look pretty good, but I would rather, you know, since we're resetting this car for the season, I'd rather go through and do the cleaning of it. We developed that APC tire cleaner that's going to be really effective, but not so strong that you risk hurting the wheels. So with that can be used as a general all-purpose cleaner, you know, in your wheel wells, down the lower part of the car, floor mats. Yep. You know, it does a
underhood.
Yep,
everything.
Does a fantastic job. So we'll just liberally apply that to the tires. You know, and you can do a couple of tires at a time. I don't like to do all four.
Okay.
A couple of tires at a time, then come back after it's dwelled on there for a minute, and then start brushing it out. If it's a car that's been a while, you know, you typically find the tires kind of have a brown look to them. They really need to be deep cleaned before we put any new tire dressing on it. And this is a way to completely reset the rubber so that the tire dressing can bond to it well. Got our handy dandy tire brush. Yeah, see this one, when you kind of look at the suds that it generates, this is still kind of white, which showing that these tires are relatively clean. Ones that have been sitting for a while, that will start coming off looking brown.
We've also discussed when you're applying like a tire dressing and it's real splotchy, that's probably a sign there's too much on there and needs reset like you're talking about.
Absolutely. So you don't need to do this, you know, every time you wash your car and go to put new tire dressing on it. But every 3 or 4 times, it probably makes sense to go in, do a deep cleaning just to reset everything. And we'll rinse that off and then go over to the other wheels and all right, carry this to the side. You're doing such a fantastic job at these wheels. I'll just let you continue on.
What a guy.
You know, I get enjoyment out of watching people learn and evolve and, you know, better their skill sets.
That's what's happening.
Goes back to that old saying of, you know, what is it? Like fish for a man, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime kind of thing.
There you go.
See?
Teaching this man how to fish. It is fun though, because I have always been into cars. Detailing, you know, kind of like your early days. You wanted stuff to look clean, but you maybe didn't know you were scratching it to death. And so
I never did that.
learning these processes is cool because I do like, you know, different crafts and learning them. And so you start to appreciate the difference that you see, feel, smell in your own car when it's really actually clean and well maintained rather than just appearing clean.
Yeah, we had a customer in yesterday buying a bunch of products, and he's kind of followed the rabbit down the hole. And, you know, it's funny, first thing he did when he looked at me, he's like, well, first thing, I feel like I know you, I watched all the videos. He said, second thing, my wife doesn't really like you because it's costing me all kinds of money of stuff that I'm doing. But he's, you know, he got the polisher, he's buying all the coatings and doing it all himself and working on his own Corvette, and he's learned from it. And he said the feeling that he gets being able to do it himself, he said, hey, I can afford to have you guys do it.
Yep.
And it's not about the money, it's about, you know, just wanting to do it yourself. And then that feeling that you get afterwards when you stand back and look at it and say, I did that.
Yep. All right.
Good. Everything is rinsed. Now, I was thinking about this morning, how I wanted to do it. I wanted to try to have this surprise effect a little bit later on, but it doesn't work out as well for the videos. You know, one of the things that we're going to talk about here is going to be iron remover.
Right here. Okay.
Iron remover. Now, a car like this that has been driven all winter long, you know, hasn't been decontaminated since last fall. It's going to need something like this, a white car in particular. And the question comes down to, you know, in which order do you apply it?
Okay.
And my first thought was, we wash the car and, you know, say, oh man, it looks great, it's all clean now, right? No, it's not clean yet. Let's, you know, let's show the difference. But what I like to do on these when I have time is actually wash the car first, then go in and apply my iron remover, because that way I know that there's nothing underneath there hiding under a bunch of dirt. We clean all that stuff off, because we're going to be, you know, really amazed with how much contamination we find in this car on the lower areas and up the back in particular. You can do it either way, and we do it, you know, both ways here, just depending on the car, depending on the situation. There's no real right and wrong. For me, I like to do it after washing, because I just know that I'm getting maximum coverage on the vehicle. So right now, why don't we just go ahead and start off. We'll do a pre-rinse, and during that pre-rinse, I try to hit those lower nasty areas, you know, really good to get as much of that standing stuff off. Okay. No, we're not scratching the surface by rinsing it. And then once we do that, we'll foam it and we'll go into the washing portion.
one thing I had mentioned last time we did this that I've learned is we're not just getting the car wet.
Yeah.
Growing up that, you know, oh, you just got to get the car wet. This is our first opportunity to remove any of the biggest, bulkiest debris and reduce scratching as much as we can.
Exactly.
So we've got a method to start top down, blow everything down and away. We've even got like that whole pine needle was just tucked in there, blowing it all out. Thank you. All right.
All right, now we got the heavy stuff knocked off. We'll go in with our foam cannon.
Okay.
Just get a really thick layer on there, and we'll have soap both in our wash bucket and what we use in the foam can. It's the exact same soap. It's the pH neutral solution. It works great for either application. All right, great. Do we have soap in our wash bucket?
Not yet. I can throw some in that as well.
And remember, we got the two different buckets.
Yep.
We have red and white.
Red is rinse.
Red is rinse.
White is wash.
White is wash. Super easy to remember. This, we don't have to let it set for X amount of time. It's not like it's going to magically pull everything off. The big part of it is just adding some lubrication for us to go in and wash without scratching. We'll do the top surfaces first, work our way down. The lower areas that get extra nasty, I'll rinse them out in our rinse bucket a little bit more often than I would up at the top, just because it's going to be picking more stuff up. We've got grit guards down in the bottom.
Pull one out
Pull
here.
one of those out of there.
If I can. It's in there pretty good.
Grit guard, developed, manufactured here in Ohio. That just, that gives us opportunity. It sits at the bottom of the bucket. And then what we do, we go in and we're agitating our wash media, whether it is our ridiculously soft esoteric sponges here or regular wash mitt. We agitate it against it. That way, any of the heavier particles, they fall out, and it prevents it from coming right back up in the water. And we put one of these both at the bottom of our rinse bucket and our wash bucket. A lot of people make the mistake and they have them at the bottom and they just kind of go like this. No, you got to get it down on there, agitate it against it to break it free so it goes to the bottom.
Yep.
All right, so with that, I think we're ready to roll. Where you start, whether it's the hood, the roof, whatever, it doesn't matter. Why don't you get up on the roof, I'll get the hood.
Okay.
And we'll work from there. And I'm typically going to do like half a hood at a time before going in and rinsing my wash media. Try to keep things going straight lines as much as I can. Just enough pressure to get stuff to come off of the surface. And then back over here to my rinse bucket, agitate it, go back into the wash bucket, agitate it again. I'm ready to go to the other side.
You had told me as well, for efficiency's sake, sometimes you can include a panel of glass as well, because we're not worried about scratching on that.
Exactly. So, I could have done half of the hood and then went up and done the windshield or half of the windshield while I was at it. Same thing when you're working on the sides or you're working on the roof. You can come down and do the side glass. I'll just go ahead and do the same thing right here. While yes, you can scratch glass, it takes a heck of a lot of effort to do so. Okay, I've got that clean. And we talked about before, like on the front bumper there, I leave that till last because it's covered in bugs. So it's had the most time with soap sitting on the surface for everything to soften up.
Okay.
I'll let you go to the back. I'll start here on the side. And I can tell looking at this, where I'm washing, we have stuff stuck to the surface in there, some tar, other things. We can go in afterwards, hit it with some tar remover. Like you can see some stuff back inside there. Now, when I'm doing the sides, here's another bit of controversy for you. For the keyboard warriors in the detailing space. So when I'm doing the sides, the top part up here, because it's got a split point, the top point up there, I'll typically do front to back or side to side. But when I come here, I'm going straight up and down in the process. And I'll tell you my reason why here in a minute. Now when I get down here to the bottom, I'll go back to side there and get all of this. The reason I do this is because if something should happen during the wash process, I get something caught in my mitt, I cause any scratching or light marring on the surface. If you have a scratch that's straight up and down, it's harder to see. As you're walking by it and the sun hits it, it just hits it real quick and it's gone. If you've got a scratch that goes lengthwise, the whole way you're walking by it and the sun's in it, you can see their reflection and it looks like a great big scratch.
Got it.
You know, and when people argue against that, they say, well, here you're just taking all this dirty stuff down here and bringing it up to there. Well, if we've done a good job on our pre-rinse and everything else, that's not a problem. If it's an exceptionally dirty panel, I'll break it up and do just half of it vertical, rinse it, go over to the other half and do it that way.
One thing I've learned is that the dirtier it is, the more often we're rinsing.
Yes.
And all we're doing is getting any debris out of our wash media as often as possible to prevent moving that dirt around.
Exactly, exactly.
So, and once you start kind of knowing what you're doing, you can go further without any damage on a cleaner vehicle.
Yep.
You're completely comfortable with it because you can see that there's no debris. You're not going to run into any issues.
Yep. See, I got busy talking there and I forgot I could have done the glass while I was up here. Oh, let's go ahead and knock out. You didn't do this door, did you?
I did. Yes, I did.
Yes, you did the door. Okay. Did you do it up and down?
I did. I followed.
All right.
We can jump back to the video for proof.
All right. Here's one thing. I really hate to call somebody out on video. I think we're about to go into double secret probation, Jake.
Oh, no.
You got to come over here and look.
All right.
Down at the
I didn't get my bottom part.
bottom of the door.
I only did the verticals.
Yeah.
I didn't do that sideways.
Double secret probation. Here we go. And this is kind of tricky down in here.
Yeah, the sponges are great though. They can squeeze right in there.
Fit them down into there for sure. Okay, we got that. You haven't got around the back bumper area yet?
No. Do we want to save that for last, or where do you kind of define the rear is also pretty dirty?
Yeah, but I like just making it a part of, it's just me. I like making it a part of everything else I'm doing. Yes, it's going to be really dirty too, in a different way than the front. But I just hit it while I'm back here.
Okay.
So you've gotten the wing and the top surface
correct
here? Okay.
I took the top surface Todd areas.
All right. Now with this, as dirty as everything gets back here, I'll definitely stop like, halfway. I won't do a full rear hatch and bumper area at once because there's too much nastiness. I'll get in there, rinse out the wash media a little bit more often. Yeah, I can already see there's a lot of stuff in the paint back here, which we'll point out here when we're done. And then if somebody asks, well, the car is in all these tiny little areas, I can't always get perfect up and down or side to side. Well, that's fine. You just have to kind of work with the surface as best as you can. Okay. And then especially after doing the lower area, I'll really make sure that I rinse out my wash media well, because there's a chance there's a heavier stuff in there. If it's dirty enough, I may grab a completely separate wash media just for that area.
Okay.
Likewise on the lower rockers. How much back here have you gotten?
I just started on this quarter and then I didn't get the whole quarter, but I have the doors. I kind of jumped back to the bumper.
I'll go up front and work my way back then, kind of meet you. Jake, I can't remember. Did I mention, like this process that we're doing here, how we developed it or how many cars that we've washed?
We've talked about thousands, but specifically getting into this process, I don't think we've mentioned.
Well, it goes back to thousands of cars.
I got to start working on the doors now.
Okay, glass.
I'm just going to cover. I did the glass, but I'm going to.
You did the glass.
Make sure I get my doors so I can avoid double secret.
Yeah, probation.
Maybe possibly even triple probation.
Yeah, well, I'll help out here in the process because I don't want to see that happen.
Especially now that the camera's on this side, we don't want to leave any spots open. I got evidence.
Yeah, and we're a little bit more in the light here. You can see it better.
Talk about rinseless, Todd.
Yeah, rinseless. Man, I can go on for ever about.
Okay, first off, for someone like me who's not super privy to all this, what is a rinseless wash?
Rinseless wash is kind of how it sounds. You know, we use the 2 bucket, and we're, you know, completely rinsing the car off with our pressure washer. And a rinseless, the way it was developed, it was 1 bucket, and you had like, I don't know, an ounce or so of solution that you put in there, and you're going and washing like 1 panel at a time. You don't rinse anything off, and then you dry it, and then you go to the next panel. Obviously you have to start at the top, and you would go through maybe at most half a bucket of water. In the winter sometimes, or in areas where they have water restrictions, it's a good idea to do something like that. But you can't completely cheat the system. You're compromising somewhere. You know, I don't want to run something over a bunch of standing dirt. I want to be able to rinse that off ahead of time. The other thing about the product is, for a coated car, I don't want to put something on top of the surface, and those rinseless washes, you know, they leave their own quote unquote protection behind, and then it kind of does away with the coating, and you're only left with whatever's on the top of the surface. The other thing about it, it's become such a convoluted process that people are teaching about it, that it's not really a rinseless anymore. They're like, I get the spray keg and do this and do this. Like, well, is it really a rinseless product?
Yeah.
Anymore.
Sounds kind of like a too good to be true situation. Kind of like,
you know, is it good? I mean, we've had to use it in the shop. If it's 5 degrees outside, we can't get a car out to clean it, and we're getting ready to polish it. Okay, I'm going to do it then. I'm not worried about the paint nearly as much, because I'm getting ready to do a polish on it. But for me, you know, a black car, even though it's kind of a brown car right now, it's dirty. There's no way that I'm going to get away from a full rinse and foam cannon,
all that
fully
debris
rinsing things up, you know, all those ways to get stuff off the surface gently. I find that it's you know, a lot more effective that way. Now, if you want to do an overly convoluted process and do that, that's fine. I'm not going to knock anybody for doing it.
Sure.
For us, it doesn't meet our goals, and in particular of what it's leaving behind on the surface. We're dealing with maintaining coated cars. The only thing I want on that coating is a product designed specifically for maintaining coated product or coated cars, because then it maintains the integrity of the coating, how it interacts with the elements. That answer your question, Zach? Perfect. Okay, now we'll go around to the front. I said this has been sitting, and we can do a couple things right now. If the front end of the car has a lot of bugs on it, this would be a good time to use your insect remover. It's not going to interact negatively with all the soap, you know. So if you want to go ahead and just you know, spray some of that on. I don't like insect remover to sit on the surface too long. You know, you don't want it to dry. You don't need to use a ton of it. It's just there to help break things down. And now that, you know, it's been 20 minutes or so since we first rinsed this car, everything on the front has had that much more opportunity to soften up, and makes it easier to remove.
So
now,
really, you're just optimizing the process to give this the most soak time and the best chance to soften things up, and not even need something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you know, there's bug sponges out there, which on a white car I probably wouldn't have a problem. A silver car I probably wouldn't have a problem. You know, there's no way in the world I'm going to use it on a black car. I don't want to use it on top of paint protection film. Because,
and that's like the sponge with like the little mesh over top.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they're good, they're effective. But you know, if you're using anything to abrade the surface like that, just like clay, you're going to leave some kind of marring in there somewhere. Okay, so now clean all this off. And the front bumper is another one where, you know, I'm only going to do max half the front bumper.
Okay.
Because it gets so dirty, so much stuff up in here. And you know, this one, Honda, they love their honeycomb material. I remember we were working with Acura on their NSX project, and one of the R&D guys is like, man, I don't know why we do it. We've got like 4 different kinds of honeycomb on this one car. So you can go in there if you want to get really crazy with a brush and work all of the intricacies of this honeycomb stuff. I usually don't have the patience for that, but if you just came back from a trip with, you know, lots of bugs and things, it would be worth it. You know, and as I'm doing this too, I can look around. Okay, yeah, this one's a little rock chip.
Yep.
There's no PPF on it. You know, I try to identify possible problems, you know, or I look around. You can usually tell if you've got bug remnants still there. Maybe give it just a little bit more elbow grease. A little bit down here. And then that should be good to go. Okay, let's give this a rinse.
Okay.
You know, it's warming up out here. The sun's trying to burn through, but we're using our spotless water system.
Yep.
We're not going to be worrying about water spots on the surface. You know, some of this water that comes out of these industrial buildings, or even at home, you know, my house has just horrible water. There's no way I want to be out in the sun with unfiltered water doing it. But with that, I'm not worried about it.
And we do see lots of comments about this, but more so than the light, we're worried about surface temps.
Yeah.
And if the temp's hot,
Yep.
that's what's baking this on. And if it's just light but not hot out, you're probably in good shape.
Yeah, and if it is really hot out and stuff dries up quickly, then I'm just going to stop and I'm going to rinse my car as I'm washing. I might do the front end, rinse it off. You know, do another area, rinse it off.
Okay.
Just so it doesn't dry on there. All right, good. Now, if you look at the car, you'd say it's really clean, right? It had a dingy brown look before, but you know, Zach, if you come over here with the camera, you know, we take a look on here. It's like these tiny little rust-looking specks all over the place, and that's basically what that is. Those are small little iron particles over time that have gotten up on the car. They kind of embed themselves in the clear coat, and that's a rust bloom that's coming from that. Now on white cars, you see it all the time, but it's on every car. You know, you may have a black car and say, "Oh, I don't see." It's there.
Yep.
Especially after winter, we want to go in and clean all that stuff up. So, you know, with using a product like our iron remover, that's designed to go in, neutralize those deposits, clean everything up. Before this kind of stuff came out, we would have to use clay to do that. But we don't use clay unless we were polishing afterwards, because clay absolutely 100% of the time will scratch up the surface. I would rather have some stuff sitting on the surface without scratches than a scratchy clean surface, if you get what I'm saying there.
Yes.
So typically speaking, you're going to see this up the back of the car and down the lower sides. You'll see some on the top surfaces too, but mostly that's where you're going to see it from. Stuff from the road, brake dust and stuff flying up, that's what's going to get on the car. So if you want to go ahead and liberally apply this to this back surface here, we'll do it to other parts too, but you want to get a good even coverage of it. This has its similar scent to the wheel cleaner because it has the same active ingredient in it. So you don't want to be doing this inside your garage because it will get smelly, although this isn't as bad as some of the other products on the market. And this is one that you also don't want to dry on the surface. So, you know, if you're on a hotter day and you're outside doing it, maybe you just do parts of the car at a time. You do the front end, you rinse it off. You do the side of the car, you rinse it off.
We've already got lots of.
Yeah. So you can already see
satisfying.
this is just on here, and already all of these little red lines in here, that's where it's interacting with those deposits and breaking them down. Usually it has to sit on here 3 or 4 minutes, and you'll see the whole car get like this, but this stuff is everywhere. And that just shows you, even after a wash isn't going to remove that from the surface. Well, with something like this, I would recommend at least twice a year.
Okay.
You coming out of the spring, you want to decontaminate it. You know, you can do a reset during the summer if you like, or when you're getting the car ready for the winter, decontaminate it, freshen up whatever kind of protection that you have. So with that being said, let's go around the car.
Okay.
I'd say this car sits outside 24/7. I'd say go ahead and get it on all of the top surfaces as well.
This is an awesome product. So Zach and I just used this on my wife's car.
Yep.
And it's a 2013 white car. And I don't know that I'd ever hand washed it before then. I'll throw some pictures of it in here. Zach was disgusted with me, but say, how could you treat your wife like that? But that car was essentially maroon when we were done.
Yeah.
It was, the whole thing's just got.
Yeah, it looks like some kind of cheap horror movie.
Yeah, yes, it does.
Is going on, and the car's bleeding.
You want to say anything to your wife on camera?
Mandy,
Apologies.
I love you. I'm sorry. Your car's going to be much cleaner from now on. Also, Zach's available for marital advice. He'll help you if it involves your car. All right, so you may get like upward facing or the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because especially the lower areas are going to be the worst.
Okay.
So after this sits for a while, we'll see some stuff up towards the top up here, but down to the bottom is where it'll get really nasty. And once you see, you know, how much of this stuff it's interacting with, you can kind of understand why I like to wash the car first, just to get anything off of the surface so it has maximum contact with whatever is there. Now this is also a good product, you know, a couple of times a year. If you have a coated car, that coating can have a tendency to get a little bit clogged up. And when you use this, that opens it back up and your effectiveness of your coating comes back.
Okay.
So if somebody has a coating on the car and it hadn't been on there that long and like, the water, you know, beating characteristics are a little bad, I recommend going and hit it with this. And most of the time, you'll see a lot of that beating come back.
Okay.
And this is fine, you know, it gets on plastics, it gets on glass. Once again, you know, use the general safety guidelines. Don't let it dry. You know, I wouldn't do this in the direct sunlight. You know, this is a good thing for the morning or later in the evening. Trying to get that arm pump, aren't you?
Oh yeah, going back and forth, getting my reps in.
You can always tell the rate of the sprayer pump starts getting slower and slower.
These are a really nice sprayer though. They got good travel on them. You get a lot of volume for every spray, so it is a great setup.
Yeah, the one thing about this, after you go in and rinse afterwards, you want to do a really, really thorough rinse, because that stuff will start getting into door jambs and other cracks and crevices, and you'll continue to have this, you know, red stuff that's flowing out, or, you know, or you pull it in your garage and it still continues to drip red. So be really thorough with the rinsing. You know, I'm seeing some stuff up top here. Got some blooms going even up on the roof. The further back we get, the more aggressive. I mean, look at how that is. Now, hey, it goes red with the
yeah, there you go.
Type
Looks like
R.
one of those forced aged wraps where they make it look really old.
Yeah, see down over here on the sides, yeah, you got some stuff up top. Down here low, it's a heavier concentration. And, you know, in conditions like this, we can let it set on the surface for 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
Before going in and doing our final rinse. And we got stuff up on the hood. We got stuff everywhere that's coming up. Stuff on the front bumper here.
And so again, you said with this process, we don't scrub any of this. This is all, it's chemically doing its thing, and we just rinse it off.
Yep. You just rinse it off.
Gotcha.
If you're, you know, really OCD about things, you could rinse this off and do another
wash afterward.
Final a wash on it. Okay. Which that wash will go a lot faster. You don't have to stop and, you know, clean out your mitt all the time, like you normally do. There's nothing wrong with that if you want to do another wash afterwards.
Okay.
You don't have to. But
thorough rinse will do.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you can tell the back, like I said at the beginning, the back is always the worst.
Yep.
And we're definitely seeing that here.
Awesome.
All right. Looks good.
Good timing with the sun coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the other thing that you might notice, and we can go back in the video to look at it, when we did the first rinse on the car, the water was completely flat on the surface as possible. It looked like there was zero protection. This was coated last year. I said it sits outside all the time and was not maintained over the winter. Now you can see we've brought a lot of that back. It looked a little bit better after we washed. It looks a lot better now that we've done our iron on it too. So after this, after we get it drying off and all, we can top that off with our maintenance spray. You're putting a fresh layer of protection on it to help bring that coating back.
Just like our iron remover, we also have tar remover. At what point would we use that?
I like doing that kind of after I've finished everything to see what's left in there. And if I see some tar spots, I can go in now, I can spray them, let it dwell for a little while, maybe use a little bit of agitation with our wash media that we have, rinse everything off again for a final rinse. But tar, I usually hit last, because if you have to go in and use agitation, you want that surface as clean as possible to reduce the risk of any kind of scratching on it. But yeah, it looks a lot better. And, I don't know if you could see because you're up close to it, but I was standing back a little bit further. And as everything was getting rinsed, you still saw a lot of red coming from inside of here. And what you could do too is you can open up the doors. What I like to do is take the pressure washer, you turn it off so it's just really the hose pressure on there, and do a light spray in those areas, because we're gonna have to go in and clean those things too. But that way you get all of the iron out of there. This would also be a good time, or before this, we didn't go in and hit the edges of these wheel wells here. I like to do that last, because how nasty that they're going to be. I'll take the wash media that I've been using, or I've got a separate one for really nasty areas, and I'll go in and I'll clean that stuff up as well, give it a rinse off, and it should be good to go. But yeah, I think we're in a good place right now, ready to dry it off.
Okay.
For drying, you can use a combination. If you wanted to do both using a blow dryer or using a towel to wipe it off. No, we don't use Mom's old beach towel that we've had around the house for a long time. That's what I used to do when I was 16 years old. Didn't know any better. We've got our nice microfiber drying towels. We're gonna be able to do it, kind of a scratch-free. The ultimate way is to be able to use a blower. But if you've got a car that doesn't have any kind of protection on it whatsoever, using a blower is gonna be tough. Because it's just going to push things around. That's one of the reasons why you have a fresh wax or sealant or a coating or a maintenance spray on it. Not only does it help clean up easier, it helps the drying process become much easier as well. And regular drying with a towel, it's not going to get stuff in all those honeycomb areas that we have.
Or your endless water supply in the mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be one of those other convoluted processes. I want to go back to that one I was talking about earlier, convoluted process, because I thought of something extra on it. If you have to come up with a convoluted process with a product to make it work, you're using the wrong product. We want to keep things as simple as possible here. Once again, after doing thousands of cars,
washes.
We want efficiency and stuff. I don't want to have to come up with some crazy convoluted process just so I can name it after myself, the Jake Thomas method of car washing. It takes you 5 hours, to do it. That's completely unnecessary. We want to keep things as simple as possible. We want easy to use products where you don't have to do stuff like that. And even the drying process, it should be a straightforward process that we do. So to start, you want to grab our handy dandy MetroVac, get into some blowing, get as much off the surface, and in particular concentrate on these areas, like this vent up here in the hood, around the mirrors and door handles, all of your honeycomb areas. It just makes a big difference. Now, the question is, on blowers, I get people for years, I'll just use my leaf blower. Well, yeah, you can do that. Does it have a filter on it that you're not just sucking stuff up and then having a sandblasting effect on it? And leaf blower can be really tough to get into small areas. You've got concentrated air, you've got a rubber tip on there, you can really control where the air is going. For me, I'm gonna keep a product dedicated. If I'm a leaf blower, I'm gonna blow leaves with it. If I want to do stuff in my car, I'm gonna use a product that's designed specifically for that, and it's much easier to handle.
Oh yeah,
especially in a car that's got a bunch of intricate areas to it.
Yeah, this is a much more concentrated stream. Like you wouldn't want to take this out to a large yard and try to blow leaves with it.
No.
It's made for drying a car, just like a leaf blower is made for drying or blowing leaves.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
All right, here we go.
You know, another great thing about the blowers, when you have like a really intricate wheel, getting in there, blowing everything out of the wheel, you know, because you're always going to have water that's puddling in your lug nut areas. You go and blow all that stuff out, get it out of your caliper, because otherwise, as soon as you roll it forward, all that stuff is going to go everywhere. Like I said, I like to combine a towel and a blower, and when you get good at it, kind of keep the hose over your shoulder as you're blowing stuff like around an emblem or whatever here. You got your towel, just kind of collect extra. Same thing, you're going to have water sitting in there through these seals, and just have that towel there to kill two birds with one proverbial stone, right? Okay, we're good there. What else do we need? We need to add some protection to it, right?
Sure.
Now this doesn't matter if this car was coated. Even if it wasn't coated, we want to put something on it. You know, it could be a spray sealant. If you're into waxing, you can go in and wax it. But this is coated, so we're going to use a product designed specifically for maintaining the coated vehicles. You know, coating isn't this magical product that's impervious to everything. You know, some of the manufacturers will try to tell you once you put it on, you're good. I mean, you don't have to do anything to your car for however long. That's not the case in the least bit. Over 15 years of working with coatings, you know, we've done tons of testing. We let stuff sit outside. That's the best way to gauge how they do. If you take a car and neglect it for 6 or 9 months and it sits outside, that coating is not going to be very effective anymore. So you have to maintain it. And you want to make sure you're maintaining your coatings with something designed specifically for that. You know, and that's what this product is here, the maintenance spray. We've got other products that we sell, you know, Kamikaze, Polish Angel, that are fantastic design for that. That's how we were able to come up with this one. Super easy to use. You know, it's wipe on, wipe off. Doesn't require a whole lot. You can do it as often as every wash if you want to. You don't need to. Maybe every 3rd or 4th wash you want to go in and top it off. For me, I like the engagement of it. After I've washed it, just knowing I'm working with the surface, knowing that I'm putting something fresh on it. I'm gonna be our perfect consumer, because I'm probably gonna use more than you really need to.
It can also be used as a drying aid.
Now, let me go back 15 years before there were coatings. Drying aid, what it was designed for was to add some extra lubrication to your drying towel, so that you don't scratch the surface and you kind of leave some shininess behind. Well, back then we didn't have as good of towel technology, and we didn't have the coating technology that we have now. All that has changed. So there's really no need for a quote unquote drying aid anymore. It just kind of took on its life of its own. This word that was used a long time ago, or this term that was used a long time ago. If you got a good coating on your car, if you got a good wax on your car, or something else, you don't need a drying aid for what drying aid was known for. But with this, it doesn't have to be on a coated car. You can take a regular car that has no protection on it whatsoever and use this as a standalone product. So that's one of the many terms in the detailing industry that I've been fighting for years. We need to get rid of that term, because the need for it doesn't really exist anymore unless you're using mom's bath towel or a beach towel to dry your car.
Got it.
Then you need that drying aid to keep that towel from scratching the heck out of your car. okay, this is super simple to use. You know, you can spray it lightly onto the surface and work it in. I prefer to do it on the towel, especially if you're doing a darker car. You have a tendency to put too much if you do it right on the surface. And it's literally work it in, flip the towel over to a dry section, buff it off, and you're done. Okay. And it doesn't matter, like on a product like this, it doesn't matter if you get it wet however many hours later. It's not like the coating itself that needs 12 to 24 hours to set up. So that's perfectly fine. And basically you can use it on just about any and every surface that's there. Typically I'm gonna leave it to paint, painted plastics, you know, glass at times if you want a little bit of protection on your glass. Because it goes on so easy with non-streaking or smearing, you can do it without having any problems there. So as I'm applying it, like most products, give it a little shake. So you guys have closed it. Just a little bit on the surface. So like here, you know, I'll work maybe half of this at a time, kind of work it in, flip it over, lightly buff it off. You know, I like using small circular motions as I do it, which you would think is a no-no, you know, but people make the mistake and think swirls are caused by circular motions. It's not the case. Swirls are really a bunch of straight line scratches. When you see it in the sun, it looks different. See, I can already feel a difference. There's a nice slickness and stuff to the finish.
You can smell a difference too. This stuff smells amazing.
Stuff smells great. So if you're going across the surface and all of a sudden it grabs a little bit, you know you didn't do a good job of putting it on.
We use this on my car quite a bit as well, and it hasn't had any. It's been neglected. In the paint world, and so it does great. There's a lot of great water beading, and even after quite a while and being out in the weather, it still beads water really nicely. We even did test panels among some other products. And especially for the price, it's amazing.
Awesome. I'll use a little bit here, get this back area. Yeah, on a white car, it's kind of hard to see where you've been, but that's where you go off of the feel, knowing where you've applied it and where you haven't. And you know, you can put it on headlights, tail lights, reflectors, wherever. It doesn't seem to mind too much. And the other thing too is if you've got a little residue, I won't necessarily call them water spots, but if you got a little bit of residue from the drying process, you can use this to buff that off safely and just have a nice clean finish to it. Now, the slickness part, you'll get people, you know, asking about slickness or how slick it is, and they make the connection that slickness means protection, and the slicker the surface is, the better the protection. Well, that's not so much the case. It's just, you know, how that particular product was designed. Some people like a lot of slickness to it. You know, I like a bit of slickness to mine as well, but it's not absolutely necessary. Lack of slickness doesn't mean lack of performance on a product.
We've talked about this quite a few times. A lot of these products are kind of like building your own character in a game. You only have so many quality points to attribute across the board, and you have to make compromises in certain places. And so you're going to have different products for different slicknesses or different water beading or different longevity.
Yeah, because there are a bunch of levers. You know, you pull one lever down, another lever comes up in the development process. So, you know, you may have a specific kind of product that you gain slickness, but you lose durability. And that's not the case with every kind of product out there, but some of them, you do get that. How far did you get down through here?
I did the back door.
Back door, okay. And I'll do the front door. And, you know, for doing it for yourself or for customers in particular, this is one I kind of learned from our Japanese friends. they always made sure that whether it's a wax or whatever they're working with, they put it on the inside of the door handle. That way, when the customer goes and opens their door, they get this, you know, ooh, ah moment. They can tell that something is there. It just feels nice. It's a luxurious kind of feel to it.
That is a thing that has stood way out to me is, yeah, it's really convenient to drive through the automated car wash. You go through whatever, you get out of your car, it looks decent. But when you hand wash your car and then you can feel the door handle, you can feel whatever, and it's soft, it's just different. It's really satisfying.
Well, that's, you know, all part of that engagement that I was talking about earlier of working with a product like this after you you wash your car. You know, you're giving it that final touch, but you know, it sounds weird, but there's an enjoyment aspect of it that comes along. You know, and that's something that people usually underestimate. You know, you get into some of the really expensive waxes, for instance, and you know, it's the same discussion or argument all the time. Well, it costs 10 times more. Does it work 10 times as well, or give you 10 times the durability? Well, no, you're never going to have that, but the engagement, the experience that comes along with it, how it is to apply, how it is to remove, you know, there's that aspect that to some people like myself is really important.
Sure.
Did you get that side of the roof?
Yes, I already did the other side.
Have you done this fender?
No.
Okay. I will do that. Let's see, super easy. Yeah, it's on a white car. It's going to be more forgiving. But on any of the colors that I've worked with, it's been good. You know, it's not just here to give a plug for our maintenance spray. It's the importance of having this as part of your maintenance of your car and the coating. And you can't just leave that stuff.
Well, and like you mentioned before, this is also a great opportunity to go make sure you didn't miss anything. You're kind of checking the condition of the paint after your wash, make sure it's just another opportunity to check everything over and really know it well.
Well, the other part of that too is it can make you feel bad because you go in, you notice rock chips or something that you didn't have the last time that you washed it. You're like, damn, I knew I should have got that paint protection film.
Yes.
Speaking of paint protection film, if you saw the back of the shirt here,
Dealer of the year.
We do just a little bit of paint protection film here at Esoteric. Got to get a plug in for the service side of the business as well. Yeah, which is why my black car, my dirty black car over there, it's fully wrapped and fully coated over top of the PPF. You know, because I don't want to get any kind of scratches or swirls in the black paint, and then I want to make it easier to maintain with the coating on it. And then the coating gets maintained with a product like this. Once again, you can't just leave it. And when you're talking about a car that has paint protection film on it, typically speaking, the durability isn't as long as a car that's just painted. So you have to keep after it a little bit more. Yeah, this thing looks really good.
Yeah.
The question: can you use this on these wheels like this?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Right answer. So, you know, there's still a little bit of water left on here, or even if we had blown everything off, you know, you can use it on a wet surface like this, and it's going to be fine. And obviously, this towel I wouldn't put back on the paint afterwards, even though these wheels are clean. You know, go in, just give it a nice top off of some protection. You know, these wheels, I think, were coated at one time. If not, they need to be. But yeah, you can use it on that. If the car was still a little wet, let's say, you know, we didn't blow dry it, and maybe our towel is a little old and it's leaving a little bit of water, you can go in right afterwards and use the maintenance spray on the surface, it's just going to mix in with the water nicely and shouldn't leave any kind of streaking or smearing behind. Yeah, get the wheels looking good. Then we'll use our tire dressing. I'll go over and hit the other side real quick. Again, this is just a nice way to ensure that the finish is looking good. This water doesn't dry up and leave any kind of spots. Now, granted, it's deionized water, but as it's sitting here, you know, it gets dust and stuff thrown up on it that can leave water spots. Make sure and finish those off, make them look nice. And, you know, I could get in there and get the barrels with it too. I would leave that to Jake to do. That requires, you know, not only getting down on the ground, but reaching your arms way back in there. Be careful you don't cut yourself on the rusty rotors.
Yes. Looking good.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'd say we get to the tire dressing.
Okay.
And we should be pretty good on the exterior of this. We can go in, I mean, the glass looks good now, but we can go in with our glass cleaner as well. Now is a good time to put on gloves. You know, when you're doing tire dressing just gets messy. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and then you don't want to transfer that to other areas.
Yeah. That, and you have to go in, scrub your fingernails and stuff. It just gets...
Yeah, I'm pretty bad at that.
It just gets everywhere.
But for the sake of keeping the car clean.
Yep.
Gotta do it. So we got one of our little applicators. We'll just throw a few sprays on there, smear it around.
You know, and some of those tires have a lot of texture in them. And I just, you know, spend a little bit extra time working it in so it gets a full coverage. And this tire dressing, as you know, it's not going to leave a high shine. You know, right now it's wet on the surface. It looks nice and shiny, but it's going to dry to more of a satin finish that's dry to the touch. So you're not going to get flinging on there. Just really easy to use. You know, you want to get a little bit more gloss to it. Then I do all 4 tires, let them set for a little bit, and I come back and I do another coat on them.
I go around this way.
You know, over the years, our customers have just preferred no shine when it comes to tire dressing. They just like a nice natural black finish. And, you know, Zach can attest. I mean, over the years, all the different kind of tire dressings that you know, we tested out, everything from durability to ease of use to level of shine to how dry it is to the touch. So when we went into the development of this, we knew exactly what we wanted. We thought about all those characteristics of the best products that we used over the years and, you know, tried to get that into one formula as much as possible. Now, every one of those thousands of cars that we do a year use this tire dressing exclusively. And that's whether it's, you know, at our regular detail shop here in Columbus, up in Cleveland, at the dealerships, all the work we do at the dealers, we're using the same product there.
These premium touch sidewalls, Zach?
They are. It's only taken you like 20 times. Remember premium touch? Oh, look at this. Jake's missed this.
Oh, did I miss a spot?
Man.
Where?
Oh, geez. Like 10 o'clock, 9 to 10 o'clock. You got to go over the outside of the tread.
Oh.
There you go.
No secrets here. Just throwing me to the wolves.
Yeah. I'm sure we're going to see some comments about that.
There's probably going to be some kind of triple probation situation happening.
But you didn't use the Tom Smith method of tire application. Only takes 3 hours to do it.
Yes.
And the other thing too with these cars with low sidewalls like this, let them roll back a little bit so you can get that last bit. Otherwise, you pull away and you're just missing about an inch. It might be fine if you're going through the automatic car wash, but not here at Esoteric. Wow, the side of this car has got a definite glow to it that I haven't seen in a long time. Combination of cleaning and throwing the maintenance spray on it. I don't know if you're picking that up on camera or not, Zach, but it's got, for a white car, that's got a lot of gloss to a car that just came out of the winter that might have been washed once here in the Ohio winter.
All right, what do we have left here?
Man, looks fantastic.
It does. Glass on the exterior, you said?
Yeah, glass, and then, inside, obviously we got jams, interior stuff. I know it's got a little bit of staining on the red interior we can work with as well.
Okay.
So glass.
Got our towel here?
Yep. Yeah, glass clean. Handing me like I have to do the work on it.
Oh, I thought you were just going to smile. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Glass cleaner. That's another thing. Over the years, we worked with so many different products. We found a lot of fantastic products on the market that we really liked. And sometimes it would be one of those deals. Say, we like this, and this. We wish it had a little bit of this. So we went into development of this particular cleaner. The big thing is, as always, ease of use. I don't want to have to come up with a convoluted process to make it work or make it effective. I want to have a nice scent to it, and just be very effective as a glass cleaner. This one is really simple. You can spray it onto the surface. I like to put a little bit on my towel first. I used to do everything straight lines, like in the inside, I'd go one way, and the outside I'd go on another to be able to detect where you have a streakiness or smeariness. But if you're doing it right with the right product, you shouldn't have to do that. So what I'll do is I'll go in, and I like using the small circular motions again. Okay. Flip it over, or flip it over to this side for like the final buff afterwards. And that's one of the keys. If you use a lot of product and you're just using your towel and going over it, you're going to leave some streaking and smearing, mostly because you're using too much product. And then also using the towel too far. I'll do half a windshield. This is my application side. This is my dry side. When I go over to the other half, I'll go back this way. This is my application side. This is my dry side. And then I'll grab a fresh towel to do the next ones, and I'll keep rotating that, because if you pick up a lot of stuff in this towel, you're just going to apply it.
It's not magically disappearing.
Yeah, you're just applying it from one window to the next. So make sure that you go through enough of these towels when you're doing it to have maximum effectiveness. Zach, you remember when we were at that there's a Ferrari show, a Ferrari club meet here in town, and I believe it was a Lamborghini that was there.
First problem.
Yeah. Lamborghini at a Ferrari show. But then it was somebody who told everybody that they did the same work that Esoteric does, but for worse. And it was early morning sun, and that windshield, that was like the streakiest, smeariest windshield I've ever seen. And that was about 9 or 10 years ago. Zach has been with it that long. Oh, I forgot to mention, before we get into glass stuff, there was a comment on one of our last videos that we did, and it went something like this: who are the douchebags behind the camera? Where's Todd? Well, I was in the video because you guys, filmed me coming up in my dirty car. But behind the camera here, this is one of my business partners, Zach, who's been with the company for 10 years, has worked about every position, runs the product division. So he knows a thing or two about this. And then you got Jake here, that is the newest to the team, but we've been friends with him for 6 years or so. Mm-hmm. Really strong presence on social media with the company he was at before, and really blends in well with the team. So those are the douchebags that are behind the camera. Needless to say, that got a delete. If you've watched any other videos that we've done, I did one not too long ago that said, if you're looking for drama, if you're looking for reality TV. That's not what we are here at ESOTERIC. So you're coming in just looking to pick a fight, you're probably just going to get deleted. I don't have time for that kind of stuff.
Speaking of picking a fight, I'd love to pick a fight with our microphone receiver because it dropped out at this point. We didn't realize it until afterward. I'll take the heat for it. I know the audio is not great from this point forward. Roast me in the comments. We'll get it fixed moving forward.
Okay, now for glass, I'll do a quick demo here on how I do it. Like I said, I like to give a little bit of spray first. You gotta be careful too when you're outside in the wind.
Yeah,
stuff just sprays everything all over. So I'll just do a little bit on the surface. Make sure I'm getting in the corners. And you know, we're out here, it's starting to warm up, so it's flashing off a little bit more quickly. And then I can come back and buff it off. If I find that it gets a little grabby, I'll just add a little bit to the surface so it slides through there a little easier. And what you can do too is you can have a flashlight with you and look over the surface. That's the best way to see if you've missed anything or if you're getting any kind of streaking or smearing.
And you did a little bit on the surface as well?
Yep. And the big area people miss is going to be, you know, right in your corners and stuff. Over.
Easy enough.
Yeah, real simple. I'll open the door, I'll look at it from both sides, I'll use a flashlight. Sometimes you get the lighting either in a shop or outside. It's perfect that you can see it. You know, for me, my glasses automatically go dark, so it's harder to see, so using a flashlight really helps out.
Gotcha.
And this is safe for any kind of window tint that you're going to have.
Perfect.
Okay, let's take a look at some stuff on the interior of the car. You know, first things first, we're going to look at, use one of these. We'll look at our interior detailer. So on this, I'm going to jump in around the other side. These have got to be some of the absolute best seats of any car made ever. They're supportive yet they're comfortable. Okay, when we're talking about interior detailer, it's really all of the hard surfaces and even some of the shiny surfaces as well. So any of this, all this dash stuff up here, you know, you can see a bit of dirtiness built up. Your metal stuff gets handprints all over it. Anywhere in this area, we're going to use this to clean basically anything except for any of the cloth type stuff. Okay. You know, with interior detailer, that's something that I've always been really particular about. A lot of the products out there will cause streaking and smearing. I hate streaking and smearing, and I want it super easy to use, and I don't want it to leave any kind of residue. We're not in here dressing the finish. I don't like that. You know, back when I was 16 years old, yeah, I put Armor All on my dash until it, you know, it shined so much you could barely see anything because it's reflecting. We don't want that kind of stuff anymore. So this really help if I, you know, I'll put a couple sprays in here and go in, work the area, and it should dry up pretty quickly on its own. But I still like that secondary light buff off. You know, particularly if it's a more shiny surface. Now here, we're outside and the dash is a little bit warmer, which I usually don't like to do, but you know, it doesn't leave any kind of residue behind.
Just flash right off.
You know, a little bit more in here. Nav screens, you know, nav screens always get nasty because you're touching them. You know, they get dusty, they get fingerprints, and once again, you don't want something stuck in there. That would probably, like, you know, from chicken wing residue on the finger. You know, you don't want streaky smeariness on here, and it's all about that secondary white. It's still a little bit of chicken wing stuff. I'll get in there and get a little bit more. But even here on your leather type stuff, you can use it. It's going to be fine. clean everything up. Yeah, let's see, we got the emergency brake on there. Push foot on the brake. Yeah, that way I can get in here, get all this stuff easily cleaned up. And you got some stuff down in the crevices. I'd use a brush or some compressed air. But once you give a little bit, for me, anything up in the touch area, your controls, your nav screen, your steering wheel, stalks, all of that, I like to make sure that stuff stays super clean.
Yes.
It bugs me, driving, if I see even dust, let alone fingerprints on there. So it's nice to be able to come out, quickly clean that stuff up without a lot of effort at all, without worrying about leaving behind, streaky, smeary, slimy, greasy kind of residues. And there's not a whole lot of scent to this, just a nice little touch to it. I'm also really sensitive to heavy scents. So I don't like too much, particularly on my menacing home there.
So this is basically going to cover everything but glass and fabric.
Correct.
Yeah, and you can wipe it down if it's not glass or fabric.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, any of those kind of surfaces, it's going to do a fantastic job cleaning it up. Really simple, easy to use. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go through a few different towels as I'm doing my interior. Because otherwise, as I'm picking stuff up, if I'm not swapping out my towel, I'm just taking that dirtiness and putting it everywhere. It's kind of like how we do in the wash process. We're rinsing our wash media out before going on to the next panel. I'll do the same thing here, either flipping the towel around or just grabbing a fresh one. Awesome. But yeah, literally everywhere except for fabric. You don't need to use on glass. We've got a glass cleaner. Everything else is going to do a great job. That's not going to leave any kind of
all these surfaces we had, they just look really fresh and clean.
Yeah.
Absolutely no shine on it.
That's all we want. We want new and clean. We don't want dressed by any means. The next thing I noticed in this car is we've got some staining on your seat. Yep.
It wasn't from me.
Yeah, well, okay. Once again, probably, there's probably some Mountain Dew there. There's probably a little chicken wing residue
Yeah, Zach,
there.
you'll come around here, you'll be able to see that really well. It definitely doesn't help when you have red seats.
Yeah, it really shows off.
That is, I agree. I had a FK8, and these seats were so comfortable, but the red, you just kind of felt guilty. You didn't want to tear them up.
Yeah.
Tough.
So with that, a couple things you can do with it. One, if I'm cleaning a fabric, I like to blow it out with compressed air first as much as possible. That's going to help get a lot of it out. But if you don't have that, no big deal. You can take a light brush that's not too stiff, kind of go through and get any freestanding stuff. Then we're going to use our carpet and upholstery cleaner. Is that a fresh towel?
We have a brush too on the end of the cart.
Oh, right.
Interior leather brush. Leather and textile brush. Yep.
So here, we're going to go. Well, you can also tell that we need to come in and clean out the door jambs.
Yep.
We didn't get to that. But on here, I'm going to go in, kind of brush this out a little bit first. Try to loosen anything up. And these are the Sonac brushes that we have on the website.
EsotericCarCare.com.
Very good. Thanks for that. And with stains like this, sometimes it becomes a little bit of a trial and error. There's not a one-size-fits-all solution to doing it. What you don't want to do is you don't want to sit there and just pump a whole bunch of cleaner in there and try to clean it up. You want to use as little as possible at first to see how it works. Because what can happen is if you get too much of it in, you can either leave a ring around it, or it takes so long to dry. Once you start sitting back in it, you're just going to cause a nasty spot. So the first way I'm going to try to do it is just a little bit into my towel. See how much of this I can get out, just to see how bad the stain is. Kind of flip it over a little bit. And I see I still have a little bit left over. So what I'll do now I'll put a little bit more cleaner right on it. I'll take my brush and try to work it that way. I'm getting the product in there, and sometimes you're going to have to let it set for a little while. You know, another thing that you might want to do if it's a stubborn one is have a bucket of clean water,
okay,
and a clean microfiber, wring it out and go in there with water too afterwards to try to work it in a little bit more. And you want to try to pull that stuff out of the surface as much as you can without grinding it back into the surface. I still have a little bit of an outline right here that I know that I need to work a little bit further, but I can still, just seeing some of the staining that's on here, I can still come through a little bit more cleaner, work it into the surface. Just kind of monitor, see how it's doing, taking everything out of there. You know, this one, I'd probably get it inside, work it with a little bit of water, give it time to dry out, because you got some blue jean staining going on here too.
It's already looking a lot
better. It's already looking a lot better. A little bit more agitation, a little bit more time, a little bit water with it. Ultimately, you want to be able to get on this stuff before it sits there on the surface. And if you see a stain come up, get to it right away. In a couple of days, you're fine. But once it goes months, that's when you're going to have to spend a little bit more time. I think what we want to do on this, maybe we can work it a little bit more and be able to get some B-roll to put in and show the after of it, getting it all done. But floor mats, carpets, upholstery in there, you know, that's going to do a great job cleaning it up without being overly potent. This doesn't really have much of a smell to it either. Good? Good.
I hope you found the video helpful in using our full product line on washing and detailing your vehicle. If you have any questions about any of these products or the processes you saw today, leave a comment below and let us know what you're thinking. If you got a question on anything else or any other products, drop that below too. Let us know what you'd like to see in the future. We have a lot more content like this coming. We have not only our own product line, but several other brand names that we've been using for 15 years, as Todd says, on thousands of vehicles. So there's lots of experience here at ESOTERIC. And even though that is the case, I'm the new guy, so you're learning along with me, and I'm proud to be a part of this team. Click the thumbs up, be sure to subscribe for more content like this, and as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.